My name is Chris Gaynor, and I'm here today to discuss a topic that, to some, if not most, might be a little bit sensitive. It's a topic that has been an ongoing issue in this country and most American families for a very, very long time, and it's a topic of addiction, and specifically in terms of alcohol, and even diving in deeper in detail how in your college days, the college experience can provide that foundation or build that foundation for this specific problem to be a future issue for some, if not most, in this country. Throughout my speech, I'll be discussing a variety of information and statistics that I found during the course of my research. I'll also be discussing my experience going to the Greenwich Hospital here in my hometown of Greenwich, Connecticut, and visiting their addiction recovery center in order to gain further information on addiction, further information on alcohol and drugs, and how deeply they can harm people, especially college students, in the present and the future in their lives. One of the first statistics that I found that was a little bit surprising to me is that alcohol and drugs is the leading source of crime in the millennial generation in this country. I also found that according to the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism institution, that 1,825 people between the ages of 18 and 24 die due to alcohol-related incidents or alcohol consumption. Those two statistics are just some general big picture kind of statistics that can show how detrimental alcohol and drugs can be to the younger generation, as well as overall in this country. It's not just specifically on the younger people. It's also Generation Y and Generation X. Out of those people, if we're looking just at college students, I found that according to the National Council of Drug and Alcohol Dependence Institute, that 53% of young people actually don't consume alcohol and don't use any drugs, which to me is pretty surprising, because if you speak, I think a lot of, if you speak to any young college kids today, or you hear them talk about this specific topic, they'll tell you, oh, everyone does it. Everyone drinks in college. Everyone uses this drug, uses that drug, and it's actually those people are the minority, even though it's a slight minority. Those people are the minority. Out of that small percentage, that smaller percentage, the 47% that do consume alcohol in college and do consume any form of drug, 19%, according to the Greenwich Hospital Addiction Recovery Center, 19% of those college students between the ages of 18 and 24 meet the criteria for alcohol abuse and dependency, which later on in life can and most likely will, in those 19%, result in them having an alcohol or drug abuse issue. That number is, to me, very, very surprising. Not in the sense that I can't believe it, but in the sense that, wow, that's a legitimate statistic. The characteristics, obviously, of having this problem, using alcohol, using drugs as a crutch, as a need, those characteristics can develop, based on the statistic, can develop in younger college kids today. And the college atmosphere and the college lifestyle of kids going out 3 to 4 nights a week, drinking 3 to 4 nights a week, those who do drugs, for example, doing them however often they're doing them, can lead to some serious issues down the road for these students. As I just mentioned previously, one of the sources that I used for this speech I've given today is at Greenwich Hospital in my hometown, which is the Addiction Recovery Center. I went there this past week with the attempt to try to gain further knowledge on addiction, on alcoholism, how it starts, the science behind it, and specifically information on binge drinking. Binge drinking is a term that's more commonly used when discussing about addiction, alcoholism, drinking on a binge, meaning heavily drinking excessively, which I found out at the center can be drastically paramount to a person's health and well-being. For example, I gathered information as they told me that you can actually, through binge drinking, through drinking excessively. Furthering on the topic of binge drinkers, they were able to give me this pie chart, as you can see here, that is a little small, but you have here as a whole 100%. You have the frequent binge drinkers, which is standing at 21%. You have the occasional binge drinkers at 22%. The non-binge drinkers, which is the majority in the statistic, at 38%. And finally, the abstainers, which are those at the 18% shown here, who choose to not take part in any drinking consumption whatsoever, or alcohol consumption whatsoever. They were able to tell me, based on these on these facts here, that those who are frequent binge drinkers are more apt to building that foundation that I previously was talking about in my speech, that college students can create for having an alcohol problem later on in their life, or alcohol addiction, alcoholism later on in their life. Even those who fall under the category of the occasional binge drinkers, which are considered those 1 to 2 times in the past week, in a 2-week period actually, who have binge drinking acts, who partake in binge drinking activities, are very apt as well to possibly having a issue of alcoholism, issue of addiction down the road. Abstainers obviously stay clear of the whole issue, and the non-binge drinkers as well are much less apt to having an issue further down the road in terms of alcoholism and addiction. In closing, my speech predicates on the topic of this foundation, this eruptance of a possibility of an issue of alcoholism, addiction, or an addiction to drugs down the road in one's lives, starts in the college years. This is a problem that has been one for years, and also will continue to be one for years, just based on my informative speech on these serious issues. This will not stop binge drinking. This will not stop alcoholism from occurring in people's lives and in this country. But with the hope that informing people of these possible issues that they could have, maybe there's people in the audience who have a family member who is an alcoholic, which would be very unfortunate, who sees themselves kind of acting in this certain way of binge drinking, or sometimes being in a stressful situation, or feeling stressed out with schoolwork, or in a different personal issue in their lives, and they turn to alcohol, they turn to drugs, or they turn to something like that. Just informing them and putting the idea in their mind that these statistics and this information is real, and it's not anything to mess around with, and it can lead to some very, very detrimental issues in those lives down the road. So just informing those who have an issue, who might have an issue, who really truly consider a family member or someone they know who has an addiction problem, really soak in this information, because I know through my research process I did, and it's something definitely for us as millennials to consider, to think about, and to hopefully in the future, in the near future, as we graduate from college or move on throughout the ranks of being in college, acting more responsibly and being more aware and more mature, frankly, when it comes to your social life, drinking, if you do drink, if you do, hopefully not, do drugs, to be more responsible and be more aware of the problems that it can cause in your lives that you can never get back, because it starts at such a young age. I know for a fact that I do not want to be that person that looks back 20, 30 years from now and says, I wish I didn't drink as much as I did, or I wish I didn't do this, I wish I didn't do that, and not having that regret, because that's something that can truly affect one's life to a drastic, detrimental, and significant extent.